right. Well, it looks like we are live, and I am so incredibly excited for this week's episode. Y'all, this is episode 21. I cannot believe it. We have been live on the Liberation Lounge since January, and so I'm so incredibly excited about today's episode because I have a woman that I have watched, I have admired, supported. She has supported me. And I'm so honored that she would take us up on this invitation today to be on the Liberation Lounge, where we do have real talk with real women. As a reminder to everyone, is that these episodes also drop every single Tuesday on YouTube, and you can find all of our archived episodes, all of the amazing conversations that we've had with some phenomenal women over the last few months when you go to @AprilJoyEmpowers on YouTube. Okay, so you definitely want to go check it out and subscribe. I would love, 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 love it if you would subscribe if you've been getting value out of the Liberation Lounge. And so, without further ado, I am so incredibly excited to introduce our guest for today. And this is a woman who is a senior level business executive out of Canada. So I think she may be our first Canadian guest. So I'm really excited about that. And just the way I have seen her move and show up in the world has been so inspiring to me. And I said, there could not be a better person that I could have on the Liberation Lounge than my dear friend, my sister, Martine Girotto. Martine, how are you doing tonight?
I'm fantastic. Even better since you appeared on the screen. This is the highlight of my day. So happy to be here with you and everyone else.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. And so, for those of you that are watching live, put live in the comments. If you are watching us on replay, please put replay in the comments. But I really want you to strap in and just really even take some notes, right? If you're in a position to do that, and just allow your soul to be fed here over the next 30 minutes or so. And so, I'm excited to get started. So, Martine, for those who do not know you, which I don't know who wouldn't know you, but for those who do not know you and the work that you've done, your background, and just who you are as a woman, could you just start us off with just a little background and introduction?
Yes, absolutely. And let me just start with, first of all, thank you for having me tonight. This is my first live podcast. So I'm
Ah, I'm so excited.
excited. I've had, opportunities to be on recorded shows and on
Yeah.
other platforms, but my very first podcast, April, I will never forget you. And
Oh, thank
how can I forget you? We've been able to, we had the opportunity to rub shoulders
you.
in the past years ago. I
Yes,
think that we discovered the fearness in each other and
yes,
embraced it and have been on a
yes,
journey of uplifting one another. And
yes,
I read somewhere today, there's nothing more powerful than women wanting to uplift one another. And so
yes.
move out if you're not part of this
Right.
this journey. So uplifting one another has been our thing, and
Yes.
I admire you just as much as the kind words that you said about me earlier. But I have been in, my goodness, I've been around a long time. I've been in senior executive positions, I would say, for over 20 some years, in the corporate side of multi-level marketing businesses mostly.
Yeah.
And my role has been to elevate the Canadian market most of the time, either as general manager or as president. When I was president,
Yeah.
that's when we were
Yeah.
together. But this has been somewhat of my passion, is to play a role behind the scenes to
Mhm.
help elevate other people's success. And success comes in different shapes and forms. We can talk about it later on. I
Yes.
will give you my definition of what success is today, as
Yes.
opposed to what years and years ago. But it has been my role, being somewhat the orchestrator of,
Yeah.
successes in businesses and the representation of Canadian markets and Canadian distributorship and
Mhm.
leadership. And so that has been, basically what kept me pretty busy up until
Yeah.
recently. So
Mhm.
in a nutshell, that's me professionally.
Awesome. Awesome. And you are in Montreal, is that correct?
I'm close to Montreal. I'm
Okay.
about 30 minutes from Montreal, and
Okay.
I live on a beautiful little island just off, the Montreal island, and it's paradise. I have to say. I don't know what paradise, we have our definition of it. Mine is where I live currently. So yeah, that's
Well,
where I
I
am. Yeah.
I know that Air Canada just got direct flights from Cincinnati to Montreal, so don't be surprised if you see me
I'm
show
in for it.
up
I'm all in. You're more than welcome. But
in
yeah,
Montreal.
yeah.
Fantastic. Well, let's get into the conversation because there's so much that I want to talk to you about. And I love how you started the conversation about what success is. Um, and we may go down that path over the course of what we're going to discuss today, but that really rang true to me just initially because I said, so many of us, we tie our identity to what we do, right? And when that thing that we did, or what I like to say, how people knew us, right?
Yes, very well.
And when people know us a certain way, like I'm a totally different April, not just by name today, but I'm a totally different April in terms of how I see the world and the impact that I seek to have, right?
Yeah,
And that's not an April that most have been introduced to. So I had to almost like reintroduce myself to the world because people had only known me as a 15-year direct sales professional. That's all they knew, right?
yeah,
And so I'm excited to kind of go down that rabbit hole with you. But
yeah.
um, let's talk about blank space in the calendar.
Mm,
Okay. When you go from this like very packed schedule and now you have this open space in your calendar, I know for me, when I took my step back from network marketing and direct sales, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna take like a solid probably 8 months and just I'm gonna rest. I'm gonna give
yeah,
myself permission to rest because I ran hard for 15 straight years, like no days off, right? And then I had to allow myself and give myself permission to have that rest, but then I also needed to just kind of confront the image disconnection of like, okay, well, how have people known me and who do I want to be in this new space, right? And to really take the time to do that. So what do you feel is kind of the hardest part about confronting those shifts in identity that we go through when we are beginning to really redefine who we are outside of what we did for a living?
I would say I have one word that can encompass all of what you said, and it's rediscover. Like it's a rediscovery, not even a discovery, a rediscovery. And to be honest with you, it's a big one because for those who are not aware of why you're you're asking all these questions to me is
Yeah.
because I did go through a sudden stop in my career about I would say 10 months ago, and
Hmm.
which was perfectly fine, came as a blessing.
Yep.
Redirections and restructuration, restructure, I would say,
Yep. Yep.
it's a English word for me, but there's a lot of Martinisms that will come to this show tonight, as you
Yes.
remember, April, from being with me. But
Yes.
I feel that all things happen for a reason. There are seasons and reasons, and I never
Yes.
quite really understood the depth of this until my
Yeah.
life took a different turn. And
Yeah.
it's not the end, and it's not, but it's a stop. And and I'll be honest with you, it will sound strange, but all of a sudden I went from being super busy, organized and structured, and to
Hmm.
not knowing what to do with my time.
Right.
The time that, I'll be honest with you, I've been
Mhm.
dreaming about, when I was in the midst of everything. Oh,
Yes.
have a little bit of time, I would do this, I would do that. And then I went to, okay, go ahead, do
Yeah.
all that. and
Yeah.
not really knowing how to, to do what to do with my time. And I'll be honest, there were times where I have felt very lost. I
Mhm.
felt like I was on a really fast moving train,
Yeah.
professionally, and for some reason, not for some reason, I'm sure a lot of people on watching will relate to
Yes.
that. It's the driver. The driver of the
Yes.
train is your professional identity. It's the
Yes.
driver, and then you're in on that train, and you're just basically being driven places, and you feel that that's who you are. And
Mhm.
and I have, felt lost because I felt like I was on that train, and I was,
Yeah.
not far in the train, like right behind the driver, which is my
Mhm.
identity, my career identity. And then all of a sudden, I'm ejected. I'm
Yep.
not, I didn't even stop and walk out. Boom, I'm no longer on that train, so I'm
Yep.
not moving anymore. I kind of wanted that, but not that much of it.
Yep. Yep.
And so I what I've discovered is that when you stop, it's a shock. But then
Mhm.
in the stillness, what I found, and really it's been a journey, I'll be honest with you, but
Mhm.
I found in the stillness, I have found myself.
Yes.
Who are you? I think a lot of people
Mhm.
can relate to that. Who are you if you're not senior this or corporate
Yes.
that or VP this or whatever,
Yes.
because it feels like it's a badge of accomplishment that you're wearing,
Yep.
this is who I am. So it's like when people ask you what you're doing, you got to take
Yep.
pride. I've been doing this, I've been doing that. And
Yep.
so the one hard but great lesson. And I'm referring to some of my notes because I
Yeah.
really am so passionate about our topic tonight. I thought, I have to write all this, but I had to rediscover who I was outside of work, because it's always been kind of intertwined with my life, right? So I was a little
Yes.
bit of this, a little bit of that, but a lot of corporate who I was.
Yep.
And so I realized that my worth wasn't tied so much into my professional achievements, but more so, it was tied to the relationships that mattered. And, like being a mom, being a
Yep.
friend, being a wife, being a sister,
Yes.
being a mom. Did I say that? Yes, of course, being a daughter,
Yep.
all these roles that we play, but we're kind of, like a second role actor. I've never been the main character in any of this because I was so busy with my work. So I was
Yes.
there, but I wasn't there completely. And so for years, I believed that my worth was defined by work as
Mhm.
opposed to me as a person. So I
Yep.
needed to go through this sudden stop to
Yep.
discover something that was, isn't that the most obvious thing? Isn't it supposed to be the most obvious thing?
I know. It's
We
so
have to
true.
we have to discover, the hard way. And I also discovered that slowing down was not a loss. It
Mhm.
was more of a gift. But at first you're like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, who am I gonna be? What is gonna
Yep.
happen? Uncertainty of the future. And then comes the taking care of yourself,
Yes.
looking after nurturing the inner you,
Yes.
kind of just asking yourself some questions. And I know in my personal situation, I've been able to discover the fall. It's funny to say, I have not
Mhm.
paid attention to fall in at least 20 years, because
Wow.
fall has always been a busy season in my line of
Yes.
work. We
Yes.
had retreats and we had
Yep.
shows,
Yep.
conventions, and this. And if you're not at
Yep.
convention, you're preparing it or you're
Yes.
recovering from it. But to enjoy that season was never a thing that I was able to do. And this
Mhm.
time around, it's I've seen the leaves change colors and fall.
Isn't that
And
beautiful?
it happened on the, it makes me emotional to just think about that. I didn't even think
Yeah.
about bringing it up until now. And it's in the smallest things that I've been able to recover my identity and
Yeah.
understand, whoa, wait a minute, I'm a funny person and I'm a caring
Right.
person. Wow, guess what? I make pretty darn good breakfasts. And
Right.
you know, and now I think we're at a point in my family where I can't wait, Mom, for you to, be less less available. You're way too much, it's too much of this. But so discovering your new, not your new identity, like your real identity, you have
Yes.
to go through something like this, I believe, unless someone here watching has been grounded in their
Yep.
identity the whole time.
Hmm.
You have all my admiration because I've been caught in another shell for a
Yep.
long time before I cracked it and discovered the not the real me, but the genuine, simple me.
Yes. Yes. And Martine, I think there are so many women right now that are listening to this that have experienced that, or they are experiencing it right now. And I want everyone to know that that's that identity, right, that we create out of our career or the business or whatever, that's not really our fault. It's kind of the way society is structured, right?
Yeah,
Society is structured to cause you to say, okay, I am what I contribute, right?
right.
To
Especially
company or to my
women.
clients. Yes, exactly. And so to be able to take that time and to really begin to discover the essence of who you are outside of that, like that's a role. Those were all roles that we played. But I mean, just hearing you talk about this, like I shared this on 2 episodes ago, I think, that I love traveling, have always loved traveling, but because of the nature of my work and the demands of having to be on 24/7, for the first time ever, I started using do not disturb.
Ah,
First time in probably 20 years, right? Because I could never be on do not disturb when you had hundreds, if not thousands of people that were texting you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week,
exactly.
needing something, right? And for the first time, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go on Do Not Disturb. And it was liberating to go on Do
A
Not
hundred
Disturb.
percent, 100%, because, and I'll get to it at one point because it's another lesson that I've learned, but it kills your people pleasing part, because
Yes,
when we see something, we feel like we have to act on it. So a text comes, this, that. When you don't see
yes,
it, it's like you don't know what you don't know, and you
yes.
can't act on what you can't see.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So that was the first one, was the do not disturb, and the second one was, for the first time in 15 years, I had gone on a vacation without my laptop for 2 weeks.
That happened to me recently. This is it's like, what it reminded me of, the first time you have kids and you always have like a baby bag and this and that to carry a
Sure.
meal. Then that first time that you just take the kid and nothing
Right.
else, it's so liberating. It was the same feeling when I did not take my laptop. I'm with you 100%.
Yes, yes. So those were two really big moments in that space of just allowing myself to just be and to experience and not feel like I have to respond or that I need to post every day or any of that. It was really, really liberating. So we talked a little bit about how women define themselves by their titles and their accomplishments, and you've had this incredible leadership career, but let's talk a little bit about that definition of success. Let's get into that. So, how has this season really changed your definition of leadership and of success? What has this season meant for you?
Oh boy, that's a great, great, great question. And I have to apologize. I got distracted for a minute. I realized that my laptop is not plugged with my battery. So
Well,
I'm
that's
just
okay. You can
texting
plug
my
it
husband that, my battery, my battery. So someone at one point will come and bring me my battery.
in.
Um,
Okay, no problem.
my charger, not my battery, but my
Yeah,
charger. But
sure.
to answer your question, which is great because, I even wrote, because we prepared for this, but, my notes, great question. Up until I stopped success for me, to be honest, used to be about meetings and deadlines and
Mhm.
impacts and difference that I can make, or wins, the little wins,
Yeah.
can I, which is not a bad thing, because I feel that when you reach a level where you're an executive somewhere, anywhere, you do have to, make an impact, and you do have some responsibility, but it's a shift that I hadn't quite made about what it really means, success really means presence and connection and joy in what you're doing. If you
Yes.
find joy in what you do, if you're connected with the people that you're interacting with, if you're
Mhm.
present anywhere in these spheres of your life, this is success for me.
Yes.
It has
Yes.
shifted from just the rational numbers, and you
Yep.
know what I mean? Like it moved from from this to the more human side of it. What does that
Mhm.
really mean if you're successful? Well, you have to first be successful as a human, as a person,
Yes.
before just
Yes.
anything else. Because quite honestly, when we go, we're gonna go. Everyone is mortal.
Yeah.
Once we go, what will stay is who we are.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
lost touch of this for years, because I was just wanted to, I just wanted to succeed. I just wanted to taste success, but
Yeah.
I wasn't grounded on what success should really mean. And it can mean a million things to a million people. I get that. But this journey has taught me this. And what I can say that I have learned about that was success, but about leadership, and how I embrace this new season in my life,
Mhm.
is
Mhm.
really about the presence. I talked about it, but also showing up with intention. If you're in
Yes.
any leadership, whether it's in the field of sales, if it's
Yep.
it doesn't matter. If you feel that you have somewhat of a leadership portion in anyone's life, it's about presence. It's about showing up with intention, being there, being present. And
Yep.
so, and success, attached to that leadership, is no longer a finish line. It's not like success is indefinite. It's just like it keeps rolling, it's not just,
Mhm.
oh, I've reached success, I'm successful. No, 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 it never ends. Success is a bunch of little wins. It's a bunch of little presence and connections, and this is what defines success. It's a never ending motion.
It's so
What I
true.
want. Yeah.
It's so true. I mean, it just reminds me. I recently started writing a newsletter on LinkedIn called Operation
Mhm.
Liberation. Okay,
Yeah.
and I remember having a conversation with my coach. And my coach said, what made you want to start writing this newsletter? And I said, well, I didn't study journalism. I didn't go into journalism. I'm not a journalist, but I love writing. And when I began to really put energy into discovering women that were doing amazing things, and then I like to call it, they're kind of disrupting the establishment.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, whatever establishment they are in, they're disrupting that, right? And so I started just noticing these women, and I came across a book called Women's Ways of Leading Revisited. Phenomenal.
Oh,
Um,
take note of that.
phenomenal. Women's Ways of Leading Revisited. It's absolutely phenomenal. And so I was able to get in touch with the author, and we're, having some really, really amazing conversations. And so that kind of kicked it off. And then I started studying some other women that I've just begun to write about on a weekly basis on LinkedIn. And when you talked about just the definition of success, I said, you know what? I'm not writing for the Washington Post yet, but that's not even the goal. The goal is to use my voice
Yes.
as power, and to
Right.
elevate other voices that maybe other people may not even know about, right? And that, just the fact that I'm doing the work, it's in the
Yeah.
doing. The success is in the doing. The
It's in the
Liberation
action.
Lounge, it is.
Yeah.
It is. It is in the doing and it is in the action. And so I think Napoleon Hill said it best. The definition of his definition of success was the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So I asked myself, I benchmarked myself against that, and I said, is this a worthy ideal? The Liberation Lounge? Absolutely. Is writing the Operation Liberation newsletter every week on LinkedIn? Is that a worthy ideal? Absolutely. Right. And
Yeah.
I think oftentimes we don't take these, as you called them, small wins. And it's really just the consistency of doing something that has meaning. It has
Yeah.
meaning. It has meaning and it has purpose. Right.
Purpose, exactly. It has some depth to it, some,
Yes.
yeah, some grit, some substance,
It has substance, exactly. And the other thing that I think is so powerful about what you were saying, it's in the connection, it's about being present. When I got off the 15-year hamster wheel, right?
Mm,
I started noticing things that I had never noticed before. And this is real talk. I began to notice, like really notice, the young kid who opens the store, who literally gets up at like probably 4 o'clock in the morning to make sure that corner store is open at 7. Like, I noticed him. I began to notice
yeah.
the people on the street, in the parks in my town, that were like sweeping up the trash and just making sure that we had beautiful green spaces. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I've lived my life and I
All
haven't
along,
really.
these people existed
Yes, they were
right
there
in plain sight, like
the
you
whole
had
time.
them in front of you, but you did not see them.
I really did. It's like I knew they were there, but I didn't have this like connection to them. And I think it was just because my mind was always so focused on
Busy.
this next thing that I needed to be doing, or the next person that I needed to help, or the next rank I needed to achieve, or the next rank I needed somebody else to achieve. And it was like my brain was always so focused on those things
Right?
that I did not even have the space to be able to acknowledge and really appreciate all of the people in my community that are making this thing work.
Life around you. I remember, and I know that that's one thing that I discovered too was, wow, I can read again. I didn't think I had
Uh,
enough space because when you said that, it resonated so much. I didn't think I had enough space to read a
yeah.
book because how can
Yep.
I commit to a book when my mind is going all over the place
Yes.
and then I have to, whatever is left is for my personal life.
Yep.
The personal life is not even quality. It's like a lunch or preparing something or signing a document for the school or whatever. It
Yep.
wasn't even
Yep.
nice. And so it's funny when you make space, what you
Mhm.
see, what
What you
comes
see.
in front of you.
Yes.
What
It's
comes
absolutely,
under the table.
it was mind-blowing to me how much I began to notice just the people. I'm
Plain
talking like
sight.
they like popped out in high definition, right? The garbage guy on Thursdays,
It's
and
such
it's
a
like
great point. I will take that with me today. This is
it
such
was
a
just
great point.
really, really incredible, really incredible. So I love that you touched on that. So let's talk about reigniting and rediscovering maybe like passions and just zest for life, or maybe things that you've always wanted to do that because you were so go, 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 you never really stopped to enjoy certain things like reading, right?
Yeah.
Um, but talk
Yeah.
about reigniting passion and what parts of yourself or your
Oh,
dreams have you been rediscovering in this transitionary period?
you know what's great a bit about this transition? And I have my battery is back, so whew,
Okay, we're good.
yes. Now I'm all yours. So basically, this transition wasn't just about slowing down for me. It was uncovering parts of myself that I don't know how to say that, but needed attention. It's like and I think you can relate to that too, in those
Yes.
15 years where,
Yep.
if there's not enough space here, imagine where we bury our passion and our dreams
Yep.
and our talents and everything that we should stop and do to enjoy our lives. But no, we're busy making a life, so we're not,
Yep.
aligned with that. And so one of the most powerful discoveries that I've done was, my passion for writing.
Mm.
I love to write. I used to write,
Yeah.
and I stopped writing, and it's such in the last, I would say, I've picked up on that again in the last couple of months, and it's been a creative outlet for me, to basically put down in writing my experience,
Hmm.
my observations,
Hmm.
some nuggets of wisdoms, pearls of
Yeah.
wisdoms, I should say,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I've been able to observe and apply, and that I could share with others. And so, and as I'm writing, I know I mentioned to you, I'm writing an
Yeah.
ebook on the people first concept.
Love it.
It's a general, it can apply, it does apply quite a bit to the direct sales and
Hmm.
multi-level marketing industry, but really any type of leadership. And some of our my observations where, when you switch your perspective to people first, and again, it's aligned with what we're talking about today,
Yes.
and so the book is called, People First, the
Mm.
magic behind the numbers. Because if you
Yes.
stop, the focus, sometimes it's an even an unhealthy focus on numbers and
Yep.
on,
Yeah.
the the outcome, and why don't we just focus on the people? And
Yes.
it's incredible what comes out of this. And so I
Hmm.
started writing just for the fun of it, and then it kind of became somewhat of a book, and I'm still in the writing of it, but it's we're more connected than we think, and we have
Hmm.
more impact on each other than we think. And why not shift that concept and that perspective so that we can have more success in the end? And so,
Yes.
so the writing of this was a passion that I discovered and rediscovered, basically. And the most exciting part of this journey has been reigniting my dream of bringing my voice to people,
Yes.
kind of just, highlighting my public speaking skills a little
Hmm.
more. I
Hmm.
have the gift of being able to do this in two languages, and
Yes.
half of another one, but I don't think I'd be really good with the Italian one, but certainly, certainly the French and English. And, taking my voice on the road has been somewhat of a dream that I've had for later in my life. I was
Yeah.
putting why when I retire, I'm gonna
Yeah.
become I'd love to be a keynote speaker and this and that. And then I thought, no, using it now to make a
Hmm.
difference in people's life, across North America,
Yes.
is something very fulfilling, standing in front of people and feeling that we somehow have a minute of um, of an aha moment for someone. We
Hmm.
bring a difference in people's lives. And so this season has reminded me of this passion. And so I'm working on this right now. That's my,
So exciting.
it keeps me, it keeps me in the game of nurturing my passion.
Yes.
So,
Yes. I love it. I love it. And stay tuned for all of that, y'all, because Martine's got some exciting things in the works with her
mhm,
ebook, and you might be able to catch her on the road at a speaking engagement. And certainly, if you're looking for a phenomenal speaker, I know because I've seen her speak on stage in front of 5,000 people before. She
mhm.
is exquisite, absolutely exquisite. And so I really, really, really do look forward to that. So, as we kind of wrap up here, let's talk about the next chapter and
Yeah,
how you're really intentionally designing the next chapter, right? And it's again, it's that power that happens in the pause, right?
yeah.
That power that's happening in the pause. So, how are you really allowing yourself to kind of put your life into what I like to call like a divine design, right? Versus just jumping to the next thing, because that's what people expect, right? They expect, and I know a lot of people expected that from me. When I took my setback, they're like, oh, well, when are you coming back, and what are you doing now, and where are you going to go, and da 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 da. And I said, I'm going to practice the art of doing nothing for a second,
Yeah.
because I've earned it, right? I'm going to practice the art of doing nothing for a second, and then I'm going to just take time to allow whatever that next is to unfold. And it might look completely different than what it looked like before, right? And I was completely open to that. So, can you talk a little bit about how you're how you're moving about in the world now, and being more intentional about how you want to design the next phase of your life?
Well, I will tell you, and I hear what you're saying, and it sounds like it's the same thing for me. Where if you pause long enough, because
Mhm.
sometimes we have little breaks. We
Yep.
go on vacation and we
Yep.
whatever, and we get back into it. Okay, this pause is a significant pause for me. It's one that I haven't had in 20 plus years. Okay,
Hmm.
if you pause long enough, you never return the same way. You're not the
It's
same
true.
person. No way that you're the same person. You've
Yeah.
been discovering, rediscovering, grounding, enjoying, embracing for months and months. There
Yeah.
is no way in life that I'm coming back as the same person. So that's clear to me
Yes.
that whatever comes my way next will have a different look, a different taste, a different flair, because I'm not the same person. I have been able to identify my boundaries. I've been able
Hmm.
to identify and put the people pleaser to sleep. The,
Mm.
the people pleaser in me that has been, I answer, I promise you, April, and I don't know if you remember that, but
Hmm.
I answer every text, every chat, I'm everywhere. And on my own time sometimes. And so eventually
Yeah.
the lines are so blurred that I would be on a Saturday doing, in my kitchen doing something, answering chats every
Yeah.
5 minutes because I
Hmm.
don't know how to put this in a compartment that belongs in the we'll deal with this
Yeah.
I know will come as a person that has boundaries, healthy, more of a piece to me that
Yeah.
ever been. I've been in the and I think that part of how I have handled my career brought me to the levels that I have
Yeah.
enjoyed.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, now it's time to, kind of, I'm not in the proving of me anymore. I'm not in the, wanting to achieve more and to show more and look at me, look
Yeah.
at me. I know what I bring to the table.
Yep.
I'm carefully selecting what this table will look like and who I
Yes.
will be sitting with. And because I do believe that there is a balance. There is a balance out there when you
Yeah.
respect yourself to a point that when I'm in, I'm 200% in.
Yep.
See you next time. I will be in
Yes.
200%, but now I am 200% somewhere else. And which
Yes.
I was basically 190% in one place and 10% in another. And the
Mm.
10% is what makes me me. And so
Yes.
that shift cannot be reversed ever.
It's true.
And I still feel that I'm as empowered. I'm even more empowered today
Yeah.
that I have been, especially in the last run of what I've done last,
Hmm.
the last year,
Hmm.
I have been in a place where I was not respecting my own boundaries.
Yep.
And now I'm coming back a different person, but I feel a better person, a better employee, a better
Yep.
leader, a better everything else in my personal life. I will have been better because I've been able to show my family that I'm here. you know, I
Yes.
missed
Yep.
so much of my family's events that now
Hmm.
I'm going to be present in both. And I know
Hmm.
that it's possible when you control that, there's no negotiation around that. But
Yep.
when, so I don't know what it will look like. I don't know, who I will be sitting with at which table, but
Yep.
it will be a place that I feel valued and loved, and I will love and value people that will be on that next journey with me, whatever it is.
There, there's so much to unpack there,
Yeah.
but I want to highlight a couple of things that she said, which was I'm being very intentional about who's really at that table.
Yeah.
Key. Also, you said you have put the people pleaser to bed,
Mm,
right? That's a big one for women. We did a couple episodes, I think, over the last few months on how women are we're trained actually to be that way, right? We're
yeah.
trained to be servant leaders, right? In our home life as
Mhm.
caregivers, as mothers, certainly when it comes to the people that we work with or that we work for. And there's nothing wrong with servant leadership, but I love what my friend Tanya said. She said the definitions of leadership as it relates to women are incomplete. And I was like, oh, you're
Mm,
so right.
yeah.
They're incomplete. And a lot of it is because they are constructed in a patriarchal system, patriarchal and hierarchical system,
Right.
right? That has a lot to do with it. But when you begin to really flatten that hierarchy, right, that's where you can really begin to um, institute some boundaries. And you talked about boundaries. You said I am allowing myself now to have these boundaries, and I am respecting those boundaries. That's what you said. I'm respecting those boundaries. And it was interesting when you said that, because I thought, I don't even think I had them. I had none.
I never have in the past either, to be honest with you. This is a new
Yeah.
thing for me. It's
I
completely new.
never had them. I never even really thought to had them. I thought it was just what I was supposed to do, right?
Same,
It was
same.
really, really interesting to go through that process and that transition to say, oh, it's actually okay to say no. Like, no is actually like a word
Mm,
that I can use personally on a
mm,
regular basis. It's actually okay to say, you know what, I'm done for the day. I'm
yeah.
done for the day, right? And those were things that I never, ever, ever even thought were possibilities for me. Maybe for other people, but not for people like me,
No,
right?
no, I'm with you. I'm with
So
you, sister.
so that was really, really powerful. I think I'm so glad that you touched on that, because I think so many women do begin to wake up at some point, right? And a lot of times it takes a wake up like this. It takes a wake up like this. It takes a wake up, whatever that looks like. I had mine certainly when I lost, a few very close family members. That was my big wake up. It's like, okay, April, all of these people that have supported you, loved you, are no longer here. And I had all of these thoughts around all of the things, like you said, that I missed.
Yeah.
I missed a lot in those 15 to 20 years. And I said, you know what? I can't get that time back, but what I can do is I can do better.
Yeah, exactly.
I can do
Ex-
better. And I made a very conscious choice to do better,
mhm.
right? Very
And you
conscious
have,
choice.
and you have.
Yes, yes, very conscious choice to do better. And so that's so beautiful. I'm so grateful that you are taking this time, because you know what? Whatever the next is, whatever that looks like,
Mm,
whatever that next is, and whatever that looks like, the beauty of it is that you're going to be showing up whole.
yeah, 100%. And that's, I think that whatever happens to me next, will receive the best version of me.
Yes,
Years and years
absolutely.
because of that stop. So I'm so
Yes.
grateful for it. At first it
Yes.
destabilizes you and you're kind of,
Yep.
and then it's like, wow, as long as I can, support our life, we can support
Yep.
our life while I fall on my feet
Yep.
and then some, because it's not just falling on your feet, it's finding a new pair of shoes.
Yes.
These feet you have landed on need new shoes, and I'm running with them. And I feel that the best version is about to be discovered and
Yes.
unfold, with
Yes.
people surrounding me and the new people that I will meet in this next journey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I can, because I've walked that walk over the last 18 months, I
Yeah.
can tell you that um that's a very true statement that you're saying. And people that come across my path today that maybe that didn't know me before, I know that they're experiencing a very whole, and I mean like whole, I'm whole in my heart.
Yeah.
I'm whole in my mind. I'm no longer like fragmented because I've got all these other things that I'm trying to attend to simultaneously. They get my full attention, my full presence, and even my relationship that I have right now, he's amazing, absolutely amazing. It's like I've said to him on more than one occasion, you are getting the best version of
Yeah.
me right now, right? It's like if I think about how I operated just in life 5, 10, even 15 years ago. I said in some ways I feel like I haven't even gotten started. So in that sense, you haven't seen the best of me, but from the way my heart is settled, my soul is settled. And
Grounded.
I'm
Yeah.
grounded, I'm rooted. I feel like I'm finally rooted.
Right.
And I'll say this last thing as we wrap up is that I have this book on my shelf called The Body Keeps the Score, which was a book that I read probably around the pandemic. It was recommended to me by my therapist. And one of the hardest things I think for women, because we are so go, 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 is to what I call to drop into our body. Many of us feel very disconnected from our body. Our mind's over here, our body is here, right? And so what I notice is that over the last 18 months, it has given me the opportunity to be fully in my body, like fully. Like I can literally be mentally and physically in the moment.
Yeah.
And many times before, I was not in my body. I just wasn't. And so I think that's another thing that's contributing to the beautiful relationship that I have now because I am finally in my body,
You're you're
right?
you're you're giving him the gift of attention.
Yes.
It's a huge gift because one of the things that I had also in my notes that I have discovered was being in the moment. That was a foreign concept for me, being in the moment. I was in, let's put it that way. I was in many moments at the same time all the time. And so being in one moment, knowing that what else is going to happen while I pay attention to this or that or this
Yeah.
person or that matter?
Yeah.
Nothing else. Is it gonna no? Okay, well, it's gonna have to wait. And that's why your relationship is gifted with attention. And that's the
Yes.
whole, it makes the whole difference. So it's never too late to to carve or embrace the best version of who we are. I feel that I'm a
True.
better version of myself now
Yeah.
in my mid 50s. As I'm
Right.
aging, I feel, wow, I'm much better. I feel like I look better because in that time I was able to eat better and not eat my emotions,
Yes.
but eat with my conscience, like
Yes.
don't eat this, you better eat that. Before it was like, oh
Yep.
my God, whatever can make me feel best.
Yep.
And the result of this is feeling like I own my body. I fit
Yep.
in my clothes. I feel proud
Yes.
of, and I feel that, so all of this contributes to a wholesome, grounded human being
Yes.
that
It
that
does.
we have become because of the pause, that we've
Yes. Yes. It really is the greatest gift. It truly is. So if you had a final thought just based on the things that we discussed today, if you just had a final thought, just something that you wanted to just leave the women with so they can kind of marinate on that, what would that final thought be?
The first word that comes to mind, and we've touched on it a few times just because it's so important, but it's intention. If I could leave everyone with the thought of asking, if we could ask ourselves many times a day, a question, our intention. If we
Mm,
could catch ourselves questioning our intention all the time, I feel that it would change a lot of things in a lot of people's lives. You know, we're not all in the same place.
yeah.
Some viewers may be in the same, situation, looking for something new, rediscovering themselves, but some
Mhm.
could be just in the whole being busy, like we've discussed, we
Yep.
discussed something that they're probably into, and they're like, oh, that's me, that's my life, I'm all over the
Yep.
place. If you could do one thing, and it's to question your intention on a regular basis,
It's good.
you would be extremely surprised of the shifts that would happen where, oh, what's my intention here? Am I really like, what, is it a good
Yeah.
intention? Is it too much attention? Am I too much in this and not enough in that?
Yep.
Like just refocus on a regular basis. It would help, the world be a better world if we all had that mentality. I'm working on it. I'm certainly working on that every day.
I love it. I love it. That is definitely a powerful way to just move about, right?
Yeah,
And to be asking ourselves, what is my intention in this situation, in this conversation, right?
in this
While I'm at
moment,
work,
but
in this
yeah.
moment. Yes. So that's such a beautiful way to end the show today. Martine, I am eternally grateful for your time today. I cannot wait to read your ebook, and I'm sure many others as well. So I'll be sure to pay attention on Instagram and LinkedIn
Yes, we'll
on
keep
when
in
that
touch.
gets absolutely on when that gets released. And I'm super excited about what this next chapter holds for you. And of course, if there's anything that I can ever do, please don't hesitate to reach out. Okay. So
Right back at you, my friend.
wonderful. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is episode 21 of the Liberation Lounge, and it's a wrap. So be sure that you like and subscribe on YouTube. And this episode will be dropping here in the next few weeks. But you can see all archive episodes that we have done. And they drop every single Tuesday. So be sure that you go and subscribe. You'll get your notifications on when new episodes drop. And again, that YouTube channel is at April Joy Empowers, which is also how you can find me on all social media channels. And so, with that, ladies and our allied gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in today. We look forward to seeing y'all again next week. Thanks so much, Martine. Love you, and bye for now.
Love you too. Bye bye.